Good evening, and I welcome you to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. My name is Emmanuel Wilsonjnr, the Chief Crusader Against Corruption here in Ghana. Another episode is underway as we speak now, because today is Monday, and as we've always been doing, we bring to you topics, discussions that are supposed to transform the future of this country. Most importantly, to protect the interests of Ghana. And that is all we do on this platform. As always, you're going to get opportunity to be interactive with us through our WhatsApp line, which will be exhibited on the screen. And today, we're going to have two segments. The first segment will be where we'll have a conversation with our guests. And then right after, we'll also activate the phone lines for you to call in and share your views and opinion, because what we are about to discuss is of interest to all of us. And it is simple. We are looking at this Chief Justice Brouhaha. And I'm making reference to this Chief Justice Brouhaha because it borders on legality. It borders on one key arm of government, and that has to do with the judiciary. There has been so many instances where people have debated as to whether or not dismissing governments, they are supposed to serve as checks on each other. The judiciary serves as check on both the legislature and then the executive. The executive serves as check particularly on the executive. And the public, you and I, we are the ultimate individuals or ultimate group that is supposed to check each and every arm of government that we have. And that's the reason why, if for nothing at all, at the end of a certain period, 4 years, we are all given the opportunity to assess the government, particularly the executive and the legislature, and to determine whether or not their performance has been good. But today, we want to have a look at the judiciary with particular reference to the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice. We want to see whether or not we are really on the right path as a country. Over the past period, we've heard so many arguments, as I indicated earlier. But this platform is a platform that gives the opportunity for us to speak to facts, for us to educate ourselves, and for us to indeed renew our minds. And that is what we are going to do this evening. We'll take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll dive straight into the topic. But prepare yourself. Even before then, you can start sharing your topic, your ideas with us through the WhatsApp line, which is going to be exhibited on the screen. And prepare yourself, because there's also going to be an opportunity for you to call into this show and share your views, your comments, your sentiments, even if it's a question on the Chief Justice's Brouhaha. Stay tuned, I'll be right back.
Ifa kura na menyisika edia ye mefui.
Ehifa pa na menya bosia edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai kura mabre miye busia ato taxi foforo. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamu akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekuro bosia, susu account, and it also wɔ hɔ savings account, me bada chain savings account, and the akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka ona.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Me damwase.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. natural mineral water. Simply natural. For bulk purchase, call 0596 273 546 or 0596 273 547. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson Jr. As I indicated, this evening we are going to have a conversation on the suspended Chief Justice. We're going to look at whether or not we are on the right path. What is all this discussions and debates about? Remember, in the month of February, between February and March 2025, so specifically on Valentine's Day this year, there was a petition by a group calling itself Shining Stars of Ghana and was led by Kingsley Ejay. He filed calling for the Chief Justice to be removed. And when I say filed, there was a petition filed by this group. Just some few days or month, a couple of weeks after, on the 17th of March 2025, there was a second petition from one Daniel Ofori. He also submitted one. And then on the 2nd of April, there was an additional petition by one ACP Yakubu Akogo, Christopher Dubai, and Alfred Kwabena Asiedu. They also filed it. So what it meant is that, or what this means is that, between the month of February to the month of April, we had 3 different petitions. Don't forget, before these petitions came, there were about 2 or so petitions that came on this same subject matter under the erstwhile administration led by His Excellency Akufo-Addo. I think that petition wasn't followed through so much, and so, it was put aside. But fast forward, this year, when the new government came in, led by His Excellency John Mahama, we've had these 3 petitions. And just like the law says, so the process, after these petitions were brought in, President Mahama on 25th of March 2025, in fact, what he did was that he received and forwarded a petition to the Council of State to determine if there's a prima facie case existing. And because that is exactly what the Constitution says. So that's the process. When you receive the petition, you are supposed to determine whether or not there's a prima facie. But it is not the duty of the president to determine same. It is for the president to forward this to the Council of State, for the Council of State to determine it. When we talk of prima facie, we want to find out whether or not there's any merit in the petition. If there's no merit in it, the petition is put aside. But if there's merit, then we move on to the next stage. And so this was done. When this was done, there was a response. So the Chief Justice, Tokonu, now the suspended Chief Justice, was given 10 days by the president to respond, and she complied by it. Indeed, a lot of people don't know, but when this was given, she actually requested for 7 days, 1 week, for a response to come from her. Now, right after she made that request, the presidency decided to give 10 days instead of the 7 days. And so she was given 10 days to respond to the petition. And as I said, it is also part of it. And this was after a prima facie has been established by the council. I'm making reference to the Council of States of Ghana. That is also what happened. Now, after the response from Chief Justice, we saw some legal challenges coming up. So we have the Old Tafo constituency MP, Vincent Eko Asafua. He filed a suit in the Supreme Court seeking to halt the suspension, alleging breaches of due process. And so even before the process could take an absolute, stage or full force, there was a challenge. And this challenge came from the Old Tafo MP, or the Old Tafo constituency MP. And I'm making reference to Vincent Eko Asafua. right? I think I got the name right. He filed a suit, and then that is what he said. So there was, but after that, there was others that also came, specifically in the month of April, the date between 26th and 29th, there was a call for greater transparency. So the Ghana Bar Association demanded the suspension of the Chief Justice to be revoked. So in other words, at this stage, because of the petition that has come, what it simply meant was that it is just prudent, because that's actually the process for the one that is going to be, questioned, to be on suspension, to vacate his or her position, so that the process will continue. And so that is what happened. But GBA, that is the Ghana Bar Association, said that the suspension should be revoked because it is unconstitutional. GBA also pressed the president to publish the full prima facie findings, which some of us were finding it difficult because we are not very sure. We think that in matters of this, such as this, the process, to a very, very large extent, if not all, is supposed to be held in camera. And so if you call for the publication of the prima facie findings, I think it contradicts what the process requires us to do. On the 22nd, 23rd of April 2025, the president appointed someone to act. So we had the acting Chief Justice, and this is Justice Paul Bafo-Boni. And it was so because he was the most senior justice at that time, and in fact, as at now. And so he was made to act. And so as we speak now, we have the suspended Tokonu, so the suspended Chief Justice Tokonu. And then we also have Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, who is the current senior most judge, or senior of the justice. And he is now the acting. So we have the acting Chief Justice, Paul. Then we have, right after, we also have, remember I said that Vincent has taken a case to court. When he took the case to court, there was a panel, a Supreme Court panel. There were 5 in numbers. When they sat on it, this is what happened. They dismissed the injunction. And then what they went further to do was that they upheld the ongoing committee process. And the verdict was what we call 3-2. 3-2 because there were 5 panel members, or the judges, but out of the 5, 3 of them had they voted against the suit that was filed by Vincent, and then 2 supported it. So there was 3-2 on this. They dismissed the case, obviously. Further, there has also been the Commonwealth and then the GBA criticism. And the criticism, so the Commonwealth Lawyers Association and Ghana Bar Association have had the opportunity to express concerns that the suspension threatened judicial independence. And that is what they have said, that it threatens judicial independence. Fast forward, there has been others that has come. So right after this, I think somewhere last week, we also had the Chief Justice herself coming up with a press conference outlining a number of things, so many things that she talked about. Unfortunately, she didn't even go into legalities. It was more of sentiments. That is how I saw the whole process. It was more of sentiment, but I was expecting that at least as a lawyer, as a Supreme Court judge, even if she's going to engage the public, she would not reduce the whole concept to just emotions and sentiments. But I was expecting her to raise some legal issues as far as the process is concerned and as far as her press conference is concerned. Today, as we speak, the Ghana Bar Association also, they commemorated the 1982 unfortunate incident that happened in Ghana. And I'm making reference to the killing of the judges. And when they did that today, they had the opportunity to also make a comment on what is happening. I want us to briefly look at or listen to what happened today with the Ghana Bar Association. And so if we can have the video on the screen for the benefit of our viewers.
On duty. You performed your duty as judges without fear or favor. You stood for the rule of law. Your assassins hated what you stood for and murdered you, but they could not eliminate what you stood for. Your monument stands in the forecourt of the Supreme Court building as a constant reminder of the good qualities required of a judge. Permit me at this juncture to highlight a matter mentioned in the decision of Her Ladyship, Justice Martin Addo, in the case of the Republic versus Director of Prisons and another, ex parte Shackelford, 1981 GLR, page 554. In her judgment, she observed at page 576 that people had used the AFRC error to settle old scores. This was the underlying reason for the brutish murders, which unfortunately have become a dark part of our national history. Bitterness, which gave rise to a vendetta, the consequences of which went very wrong. We should be careful as a nation not to go down the slippery slope of endless revenge by justifying various acts with the refrain, but others did that too. We then rose as a nation from the ashes like the phoenix and decided to conscientiously do better by making Ghana's democracy and penchant for the rule of law admirable and attractive to many worldwide. An independent judiciary, in its true sense, is a bulwark for all who seek justice and should be jealously protected. The judiciary's foremost attraction should be its glaring independent nature, credibility, and transparency, hence the provisions in our 1992 Constitution seeking to guarantee same. The Ghana Bar Association, as well as other legal associations, both local and international, such as the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, Commonwealth Magistrates and Judges Association, and Commonwealth Legal Education Association, as a matter of principle, have made their voices heard on the ongoing process for the removal of the Chief Justice of Ghana, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude A.S. Tokono. It is hoped that any Superior Court judge will be well apprised of the entire process before ever being subjected to same in the spirit of fairness. Rising to the defense of the judiciary's independence is the mandate of the Ghana Bar Association, and this is not personality driven. On this day that we meet to honor the memory of the martyrs of the rule of law, let us resolve as a nation to do ourselves proud and humbly walk away from settling scores endlessly, as we are one nation with one destiny. The Ghana Bar Association reiterates its call to insulate the judiciary from any interference whatsoever. They stand for justice, and they should administer justice to all persons, including themselves. The spirit of reconciliation, all the various calls made for a reconsideration of the suspension of the Chief Justice in the circumstances, as it sets a poor precedent, will not go unheeded. We yearn for peace and strive for justice. As found in Micah chapter 6, verse 8, we were given an indication what ultimately pleases the Lord in the following words. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. I repeat, to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. May the rule of law reign supreme in our land. May God bless the administration of justice in our country. May God bless the judiciary. May God bless the Ghana Bar Association. And may God bless our homeland Ghana and make it great and strong, bold to defend forever the cause of freedom and of right. May God also bless us to resist oppressors' rule with all our will and might forevermore, lest we forget.
I mean, it's quite interesting hearing the quotations coming from the Bible as the president of the GBA said or reiterated. I mean, clearly speaking, as I indicated, if indeed we are building a democracy, the democracy we are building is not really built on sentiments. They are built on rules. They are built on laws. I personally listen to a bit, not so much, but I listen a bit to the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice's press conference. And then when I listened to her, I was waiting to hear if there were any breaches. But as I indicated, almost everything she talked about had to do with sentiment and emotions. And that is not what we do. That's not how we build things. If indeed the Chief Justice at this stage believes that the Constitution and the laws that she has supervised, interpreted, used over these years, has some hitches and issues, and she could not realize it till after her suspension, then that also raises a serious issue as a country. We need to really look at our judiciary very well. But what is important, and that is what I want all of us to appreciate, is the fact that irrespective of the position you hold, whether you are the president being the head of the executive, whether you are the speaker being the head of the legislature, and whether you are the Chief Justice being the head of the judiciary, it doesn't really matter. Everyone is subjected to the law, and everyone must account, because you are holding this position in trust for people like us, me, you, the taxpayers, because we are paying them. We pay the president, we pay the Chief Justice, we pay the Speaker of Parliament. And so when issues comes up and it affects you and I, and these individuals that we pay expect that we'll be quiet and go through the law. And when the same issues or similar issues come up and it affects them, but they think that they are above the law, I think it is so unfair and it is worrying. And by saying this, I'm not saying that the Chief Justice is culpable of what is being thrown at her, or she's not. I'm not saying she's innocent or she's guilty. All I'm saying is that every person must be subjected to the law. And that includes the Chief Justice. That includes the GBA lady who spoke. And that is what we should appreciate. The fact that someone is being subjected to the law doesn't mean that that person is being witch hunted. We must get this very clear. You go through the process. If you think the process is wrong, it's unconstitutional, it is just prudent to go through it and then argue your case. Remember, a similar thing happened. And I'm making reference to the days where Mr. Chachuchi Kata was facing the law. I never heard him holding a press conference and talking about issues and what was happening. This is a man who went all out to the extent that he, as a single person, was able to declare a whole court that has been set up unconstitutional, and he won. He didn't come out to be doing press conferences and creating an impression that he's being witch hunted. No. And so what is the difficulty in this case? Especially when you are the Chief Justice. Some few weeks ago, you were the Chief Justice. It means that you say the law is in your bosom. You tell us that the law is the law. And so we are all supposed to respect it. And so if the law is the law and we are all supposed to respect it, why do you want to create an impression, an environment as though You are above the law. And the same law that is being applied on you. God knows the number of individuals that the suspended Chief Justice Tokono has applied the laws on, whether rightly so or wrongly done, because there are individuals who have been wrongly jailed. I mean, we have them in prison even as we speak. Whether the laws were applied right or they were wrongly applied. The then Chief Justice supervised all this. And these individuals, they are not, any less human. They are just as human as the suspended Chief Justice. They are as human as you and I. And so it becomes difficult when you have the Ghana Bar Association, Madam Tokono, and some few others creating an impression that the laws that has been applied since 92 till date, these laws are now, when it is being applied on others, like Tokono, it simply means that witch hunt is taking place. I don't think that is what we want to do. But as I indicated, I'll be activating the phone lines. In fact, I'm activating the phone lines now. This evening, I don't want to spend so much time talking about my position on this, because I want you to be the one talking about it. The phone lines are activated on the screen. Call in and then let us know. Let's discuss this. Share with me, share with the public, share with the whole country and outside Ghana your views, comments on this. What you think is happening. Feel free, when you call, you can speak in any of the local languages, especially the ones that I understand and I can guide you. You can speak in the Akan language, you can also speak in the Gan language. Feel free and do that. But whilst we wait for any call to come through, let me quickly start with the messages that we have here. Okay, there's a first caller. Caller, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from?
Please. My name is Edward Eko Akwa.
Edward?
I'm calling from Abunabi Akwa in the central region.
Okay. You can go on, yes.
My popular name is Nana Intawa the first. Nana Intawa.
Intawa the first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nana Mpacho, go ahead.
Yeah. What I will say is, what they did to Madam Charles Asai.
Yes.
It's the same law that we are also applying to the Chief Justice.
Right.
So the law is the law. Yes.
Oh, we lost Nana, but that is true. I mean, the law is the law, and that's exactly what Tokono herself reminded us some time back, that the law is the law. And so no one should create the impression that the law needs to be applied to just some section of Ghanaians, and other sections of Ghanaians or other humans in this country should be above the law. That's not what it's supposed to be. Caller, welcome to Politics and Beyond. Hello? Hello, caller? Okay, I think we are not getting the caller on the line. So this one says, hello, Wilson. The suspended Chief Justice press conference was unprofessional and was full of rumors, allegations without basis. The law is the law. And this is from Imoru Abdullahi from Bongo constituency. Caller, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Hello.
Hello, can you quickly reduce the volume on your TV set, please? Anyone who calls should do that.
Hello.
Yes. Your name and where you are calling from?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Abdullahi. I'm calling from Siam.
Okay, Abdullahi, please go ahead.
Yes, in fact, so this is an unfortunate incident that we are all experiencing in the nation. Is that some people are behaving as if they are more special than other citizens in this country. It's unfortunate. Why am I saying this? We are all in this country where the Chief Justice was the Chief Justice in this country, and a group of people stormed in the court premises and beat a judge up under her watch, under her leadership. What did she say about that? Now, I don't want any lawyer in this country to pinpoint or say anything that President Mahama and those who are going through the processes, if they have breached the law, somebody should come out and tell us that we are this unconstitutional, because the unconstitutional thing that is that per my understanding, something that you are doing beyond the law or the remedies of the law in this country. So the Supreme Court trust where is the mistakes or the wrong that they think there's a mama and then those committees are what doing. So in fact, this is like a big. It's unfortunate that a little people like that is behaving this way. She's telling us that if you have a first case, you can come out and hold a press conference to publish whatever transpired in the court. That is what she's telling us.
That's true.
As a little person, this is the highest of disappointment. In fact, to me, Ghana, we need to respect Ghana indeed. So thank you, very much.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. I agree 100% with you. Honestly speaking, legally and strictly speaking, what Tokono did was actually an insult to the legal process of this country. And I was expecting particularly GBA, instead of using that moment to say the things that was said, and that is Council Mrs. Gatti. You know, she's the president of the GBA Association. I think what GBA should have done was to condemn the acts that was done by Tokono, the suspended Chief Justice. Kola, welcome to Politics and Beyond. Kola, welcome to Politics and Beyond. Can you reduce the volume on your TV set? Okay, looks like he's not ready. Let's go to the next message. So this one says, good evening, Emmanuel. Please, I just don't understand why some people, especially the opposition MPP members, are making noise about the process the government is going through before a decision is taken for her removal. If found guilty, they should stop the criticism and allow due process to continue. And this is coming from Samson Afote, sending a message from Nungua. Kola, welcome to Politics and Beyond. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, your name and where you are calling from. And if your TV set is on, you can reduce the volume.
I'm calling from
Your name again?
My name is Kujo.
Okay, Kujo. You want to speak English or...
that this result is over and he cannot more be our Chief Justice. Tell Mother Tukono gladly that he can never be our Chief Justice right from here and then now. He is suspended and his work is over. He cannot be over the law. And he's not above the law.
Right.
And then it's you that if your work is over, just gladly.
Okay. I'll deliver that message to her if I should ever meet her. Thank you so much. So this one says, this moment should not divide us. It should unite us in the call for fairness, openness, and constitutional fidelity. Let this be an opportunity for national reflection, not a partisan one. And this is Gideon from Tema. Kola, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ni. I'm calling from Osu.
Ni from Osu. Now, if you know your Jogba. Good. Obanyoye, go on.
Ghana Constitution 1992, Article 146, Clause 8, a trouble can ask a Chief Justice. The Chief Justice said, a small now.
Hello, Ni. Oh, so sorry, we lost Ni. Next caller. Your name and where you are calling from.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, I think we are losing this one too. Anyway, so let's go back to the messages. This one says, it is worth reflecting on what it means for the first female Chief Justice to be suspended under opaque circumstances. Caller, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Well, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I'm calling from Medina.
Your name?
Adai.
Adai. Please go ahead.
I have 3 issues. The first one is no. Hello. No, it's related to this. It's related to this. Can you hear me? Hello.
Your volume on your TV set, reduce it. Reduce it and listen to me through the phone.
Yeah. What I want to say is that, the Bible says that you know the right and do it not shall be stung with many stripes. So I think for somebody who is a chief justice, he should be. Can you hear me? Yeah. For someone who is a chief justice, the volume is reduced. I'm listening to you on the phone. Not on the set. So
can you call back again? All right. So sorry about that. I think the network wasn't good for Adai. This one says it's worth reflecting on what it means for the first female Chief Justice to be suspended under opaque circumstances. Are we holding our leaders accountable, or are we silencing voices that dare to lead differently? And this is Teresa from Ashaiman. Yes, you rightly said it. People might. All right, so caller, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Your name and where you are calling from?
My name is Daniel. I'm calling from Takwa, but I want to keep you so that my other
Daniel Kachi.
The best we can say, but I'm too man, I know I'm going to be. And our man is on yet 70 before the other. And our man be say, so look at the soil. It be about Oko, it be about Oko, quite in our own call. What do you call that? I'm out back. The person who passed everything. I didn't all force on bring my end, the on task. You got to just use the cost of French okay. Say, I have a fellow man, spending my view for you, into Momo account. It won't pass it, never back from that. You never want any where you account. You man, send a gun for Omako to me.
Mate, Daniel, me da sepa. Intimate, come back to the messages. Yes, you rightly said it. People might have been wrongly imprisoned under her supervision. They are suffering. What about that? The law is the law. She should face it. And this is Omar from Upper East. This one says, good evening, Mr. Wilson. If we fail to follow laid down rules and principles, these are some of the things we are confronted with as a nation. Why do you promote Junior 1 above the seniors? I sympathize with her, but I pray also that it ends well with her. And this is coming from Reverend Justice Aposa from Home. Hello, Mr. Wilson. Good evening. The suspended Chief Justice has some pain in her heart since her party lost the election. So if she likes, she can chew one bottle of Gary. Still, the law is the law. She will never come back because I think the woman is on agenda and she didn't finish. So still, it's paining her. Okay. And this is Kwejo from Somanya. Okay, so now I'll come back to the messages. You can keep it coming through. I'll come back to it. But you see, as I indicated, and this issue of the law is the law. She's actually the one who told all of us. Of course, she's not the originator of it, but she reminded all of us that indeed the law is the law. And that is a fact. The law is the law, and you see, as leaders, in this case, Chief Justice being a leader, President being a leader, the Speaker of Parliament being a leader. And I'm making reference to these three people or these three portfolios, because they are the heads of the three arms of government, the three arms that makes up the government system in this country. And if we talk about leading by example, why would you want to supervise, tell us, remind us always that the law is the law? And yet, when the law is being applied on you, you try to describe it as witch hunts. It just doesn't make sense. Because if there are issues with the law, you can debate that. But the best forum to debate those issues will be an arena where constitutionally we have provided. And in this case, as we will often refer to it, court of competent jurisdiction. You can go there, argue your case out. Remember, I made reference to Chachichikata and others, many others. The law even provides that when you go to a court of first instance and the judgment or the ruling comes out and it doesn't favor you, or you think that there was a misapplication of the law, you have the opportunity to even appeal. I thought this is what the Chief Justice and, for that matter, the judiciary has taught all of us to do. So if that is the case, why is it that today you've decided that you are going to describe what is happening as injustice, that you are going to describe what is happening as unfair? Why do you want to create the impression that the law must only be applied to you? I mean, to others and not to you. And isn't it also worrying that organizations like the GB, Ghana Bar Association, today are creating the impression that application of the law amounts to witch hunting? You know the number of individuals who have got, who are in prison as a result of the law being applied. And I rightly indicated, some are in prison wrongly. We know this for a fact. There are also those who are in prison rightly. But because we do not want to destroy the legal process, we still allow things to go with the hope that gradually, as time unfolds, as we apply the law, we'll be strengthening it, we'll be straightening it, and we'll be making sure that bad laws are either amended or they are scrapped, they are repealed, and all that, so that gradually we'll end up having a perfect legal system. Why is it that all of a sudden, these individuals who are supposed to champion this cause, they are now telling us that the law being applied amounts to what they call witch hunting? It's really, really unfair. But let me go back to the messages, and then let's see. This one says, let the law work. No one is above it. And this is coming from Solomon from Cantonment. The law is the law. Nothing can help. And again, this one is also coming from Paul in Kumasi. Why are people wasting their time on the Chief Justice and her collaborators, the NPP? The law should take its course, since the processes are in the 92 Constitution. The law is the law. And I'm happy at how all of you are making reference to the fact that the law is the law. And it is simply because if you say the law is the law, that is really true. And the other thing we also need to appreciate is the fact that today, the law, as we indicated, is the law. But we shouldn't create that impression as though anytime the law is being applied. And you see, my worry also has to do with the fact that people are trying to bring in partisanship. And so they are reducing it to, oh, because she's an NPP person, that is why the NDC in power now seems to be witch hunting her. The next moment, instead of us applying the law, it will be like, oh, because it is an, how do we call it, an NDC member, that is why today NPP is in power, and as a result of that, he or she is being witch hunted. So who speaks for the ordinary Ghanaian? Who speaks for those who do not associate so strongly with any political party? Who does that? And why would you want to sit and then let us know, tell us that, well, the fact that you are applying the law in a certain way, it simply means that you are witch hunting. I want us to go back to the phone lines. I'm sorry, I know a number of people want to call in, but I want us to go to these two guests that we have this evening on phone. And when we are done and we still have some few time, we'll go back to the phone lines for individuals to come in. Council, good evening. Council, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And let me say, Happy New Year. I don't think we've met this year, have we? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Very well. I hope all is well.
All is well.
We thank God. We thank God. Council, so this evening we are having a conversation on this, the Chief Justice's brouhaha. I want you to give me your general take on what is happening so far, or what has happened so far.
No, I think there's a mix-up in the line.
What I'm saying is that, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Good.
But this is not Martin Kelly.
Am I speaking to Inusa, Honorable Inusa?
No. It's a mix-up.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm sure my producers will rectify that. Sorry about that. So we are supposed to talk to Martin Pebu, and then we're also supposed to talk to Honorable Inusa Fuseni, who, requested that he want to share his views on what we are discussing this evening. And so I'm sure the network is, we'll get it fixed, and then we'll see what happens. But as I indicated, after having a conversation with them, we'll try and see if we can spend some 1 or 2 more minutes so we can talk about the, invite you to also come in. But what is important is that no one is above the law. The law is the law. If individuals like Chachu Chikata could face the law, and not just that, remember the former finance minister and Rollins, deputy finance minister, who went to prison. He faced the law, went to prison, even died in there. He wasn't above the law. And I don't think anyone created an impression of witch hunting. Remember Charlotte Osei, where clearly, from all indications, it was so clear that even the grounds for her dismissal, some of us, and I'm just, it is you have the right to also express your opinion, but some of us thought that the grounds were not strong enough to warrant her dismissal. But indeed, the law is the law. And so the law had its course, and it happened that she needed to face the law. And that is why I am a bit worried. I'm a bit worried because I feel like anyone who seems to be holding some positions in this country want to create the impression that they are above the law. They are not. The law indeed is the law. And I wouldn't mind if the head of the legislature, I'm talking about, or parliament, and I'm making reference to the Speaker of Parliament, if today it so happens that he has offended the law in any way, I don't see why we would not want to apply the law. Indeed, acknowledging the provisions in the Constitution, if today the President of Ghana is found offending any provision in our Constitution, I don't see why we should not apply the law. The law indeed is the law. You can make the argument as to whether some of the laws are bad laws. You can make the argument as to whether some of the laws need to be repealed, some of the laws need to be amended. That you can make those arguments. But as long as we have those provisions still in our law books, we should always remember that the law is the law, and there's really nothing that can take that off. Well, this one says, good evening, Mr. Wilson. My name is Ifeanyi Okunwa. I am writing from the city of Port Harcourt in Nigeria. I am contributing on the subject of suspension to the Chief Justice of Ghana. Mrs. Tokonu, I was privileged to listen to her press conference last week. I listened carefully to the defense of her suspension. I think that the Ghana government needs to investigate that allegation more carefully. The law must take its course, but in an appropriate and legitimate way. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you so much too, and I'm happy that you are doing the viewing all the way from Nigeria, and not just that, you've also taken time to contribute to it. Your comments are so much appreciated. This one says, I'm Albert from Elembele, Isiama. Papa Wilson, no one is above the law. The law should take its course. Okay. Emmanuel, please, where was the Chief Justice when a pregnant woman, judge, was crushed or was chased from a courtroom by MPP tax at a high court in Kumasi? Why didn't she take action and make sure that those tax were being apprehended and prosecuted? She's lucky to have been at post still. And this is Afote Achi from Krowo constituency. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. MPP criticism against this performing government is out of their humiliated defeat in the recent election. They are doing this in order to get some beneficence from their members for their unprecedented defeats. The sentence is not so clear. Okay. In the 2024 elections, Ghanaians should not let this corrupt party taste power. Okay. As a matter of fact, the current proposed increase in electricity tariff is as a result of the... Okay, that is fine. My regards to... All right. And this is Teacher Abu from Sefi, Boakon. Good evening, Mr. Wilson Jr. The law is the law, and nothing can change it. So self-sentiment can't change anything. I'm Fusaini Mohammed from Sefi, Ada Bokrum Polyclinic. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. The suspended CJ has exposed the judiciary, Ghana Bar Association, and political dynamics in Ghana. I am surprised that the Ghana Bar Association saw nothing wrong with the CJ's press conference. Can the suspended CJ be able to work with her colleague judges at the Supreme Court and the government of the day, if even she is exonerated in this ongoing committee investigation? And it's true. I mean, if you listen clearly and carefully to the press conference, as I indicated, I didn't listen fully, but to a large extent, I got some bites of it. If you listen to it so clearly, you wonder if even she's exonerated, whether or not she will be comfortable or she'll be able to work with her other colleagues, not to talk of working with the other arms of government, particularly the executive. And that is worrying. That is really worrying. All right. So this one says, resetting Ghana has begun with the judiciary. Chief Justice as head must give way for resetting of the judiciary. You didn't add your name. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Please, the Chief Justice press conference is contempt of court or not? Francis from Chantan. That's the question you are asking. Well, there are others that argue that it amounts to contempt simply because the committee that she referred to has powers or some powers of the court. And so that should be treated as a court. And so that amounts to contempt. There are others that also make an argument that it does not amount to contempt. But I believe that as the process is ongoing, whether it amounts to contempt or not, we will be able to get the information at the right time. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. This suspended CJ is increasingly making Ghanaians more angrier. Once again, let us use, you didn't add your name. This one says, once again, let us let's use the law purposively, else we shall all refer to it one day. The law is the law, and this again is from Solomon, from Cantonment. Do I have my guest on the line? Counsel, Senior Counsel. Senior Counsel, Martin, can you hear me? Hello? Lawyer Martin Pebu, can you hear me? I'm struggling to. Counsel, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, so I'm sure it will be fixed, and then we'll see if we can get him to have a bite. But I mean, obviously the time is even we spent, but I'll still see if I can get a bite from him, and then that of Honorable Inusa Fuseni, who has also proposed that he want to make a comment or two to the topic that we are discussing. All right, so this one says, good evening, Senior. Counsel, can you hear me now? Lawyer Martin Pebu, can you hear me? Hello, Counsel. Counsel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear faintly, yeah.
Finally. Happy New Year. This year, I don't think we have met.
Many happy returns.
Yes. We need to meet one of these days and then update ourselves and know what needs to be done next. The fight continues. I hope you had a good day. Martin.
Hello?
Counsel, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's faint, but I can manage it.
You can manage it very well. I hope you had a good day. Hello?
Yes.
Good. So, I mean, since the line is not helping us so much, let's go straight to the topic. We are looking at the Chief Justice Brouhaha. I want to get your take on it, your general take on it. So far, the process, what is happening, what has happened. Just give us your take on it, your initial take.
Give my take on what?
On what is happening so far with regards to the suspended Chief Justice, her press conference, the committee's work, what is going on so far?
Hey, wow. Hello?
Okay, so I think, Counsel, let's try again. Can you hear me?
Let's try again.
Right. So I'm asking for your take on the Chief Justice issue. What is happening so far? Her press conference and the committee's work so far. Your general take on it.
Okay. So basically, the Chief Justice press conference overstepped the bounds by bordering on the area of contempt of court. So, you know, the Supreme Court has held in the Justice for Utaberi versus Anas Tiger PI, Attorney General and the Chief Justice, that when a person comments on the proceedings or leaks any information in the in-camera hearing, then the person opens he or himself up for contempt of court. And that is within the powers of the committee to take that matter to the High Court. So to be clear, the committee itself cannot cite the person for contempt in the committee, but rather the committee will take the matter to the High Court, and the High Court can look at the contempt matter. So it is something that is a very huge calculated risk the Chief Justice took. But it's clear that the Chief Justice also knows that Ghanaians will not lightly push for contempt of court against her. That's why she did the press conference. I can see that the matters raised in the press conference will serve as an impetus, all right, for law reform. Yes, because there's then going to be a lot of people listening to it and see that, okay, we should make the laws better. Yes, I acknowledge that what she has said is a one-sided affair. But you would see that if we had more transparency in the proceedings, it would have been better for us. Then we would have been able to better judge the things she's complaining about. So quite clearly, in the new constitution, there will have to be a lot more of the proceedings being made public rather than the current Article 146 Clause 8, which says that the proceedings shall be held in camera. Indeed, in our previous past, we didn't have this in-camera proceedings. And when you go to the U.S., it's done openly. If a judge is to be removed, it's done openly in Congress. That's their parliament. You know, they have the House of Representatives and then the Senate. So we should look at our constitution again, and it's good that the chairman of the Constitution Review Committee, H. Kwesi Prempeh, has himself indicated that he's in favor of some aspects of the proceedings being made public. I mean, some of the processes. So we all have to weigh in. Transparency in the processes in the removal of a judge is better for our democracy. What it does is that it puts the judge on his or her toes. Then the judge knows that, hey, if I don't conduct my affairs well and there is trouble tomorrow, this matter will be dealt with in public. Yes, so it will make the judges more careful, because right now if the president has anything wrong and parliament wants to do impeachment, etc., it will be done in public. In the same way, if the Speaker of Parliament has to be removed, to be done in public. So it goes the same for the judiciary. And as we said, we copied a lot in our constitution from the Americans. You know, we are doing a hybrid presidential and Westminster system. So we should look at how to make the process more transparent. Yes, that much is very clear. So far, a lot of the things, there only two things that perhaps we can talk about with our equivocation. He requests that she be given a ruling should be given the prima facie ruling. That one, so far, from the way she's complaining and nobody is saying the prima facie ruling, it means that will be one area for law reform, that they be given the prima facie ruling. It helps so that the respondent can prepare for the main trial. That one, very, very important, right? Then there was the second part, she complained that her lawyer was not recognized. Yeah, so that one too is something that we need to streamline. But the rest of the other things, you cannot pass any judgment when you've not heard the committee. And you know, because of the constitutional injunction in Article 146 Clause 8 that the proceedings be done in camera, it should be expected that the committee will not respond. So once the committee doesn't respond, we will not know where to place judgment. So those ones will be left. That's why I said that, so maybe we'll look at how to increase transparency in the system. Transparency. It will help our democracy going forward when it comes to the Article 146 proceedings. And remember that Article 146 proceedings are not for only the Chief Justice. It's the same for all other Superior Court justices. And we say Superior Court justices, so we are talking about High Court, Court of Appeal, then Supreme Court. Then also the chairperson and deputies of the Electoral Commission, the National Commission on Civic Education. Okay, yes, this and then SHRAG, the Commissioner of SHRAG and the deputies. Then the National Media Commission. All of these leaders, when it comes to their removal, it's the same procedure under Article 146. So if we straighten it and make it better, it will be better for our democracy. And you would see that currently, as we speak, there is a constitutional instrument before Parliament. I know naturally because it has to go through a lot of consultation, even the public itself, we've not yet been given an opportunity to also express ourselves on it. It may take a few more months before it can be passed into law. So in the meantime, we have to manage what we have, Article 146, Clause 8. It's also a lesson to Parliament and the executive, because as far back as about 20 years ago, yes, the Supreme Court asked the Parliament and the executive to come out with those rules to flesh what is currently the law, that's Article 146. But that thing wasn't done until recently. So it's a lesson to all of us that next time we should be more diligent, because the Supreme Court saw the challenges about 20 years ago and said we should do something about it. We didn't do. Now we are complaining.
Great.
Yeah. So I think this is what I can say for now.
So maybe the very last point I want your views on before I go to Honorable Inusa Fuseni, who is on the other line. But Council, this will be the last question for you. Today, Ghana Bar Association, through the president, made some few comments. And if you listen to her commentary, it is so clear that the impression being created is that this process amounts to witch hunting. Do you share in her views?
No, it would be preposterous to say this is a witch hunt. No. No, we are not allowed to talk about the petitions, not into the merits. But we're forcing the petitions. The Chief Justice herself acknowledged that the petitions have leaked. We've all read. So anybody who would suggest that this is a witch hunt is not doing our democracy any good. That's not a fair assessment of what is happening. These are very serious matters that are being dealt with. So I wouldn't join such a call. Yes, let the committee work and then we'll see. For those parts that the Chief Justice is not happy about, you see, she has gone back to court. She has filed a case in the High Court for judicial review. That's to say, for the cases complaining about which she thinks are illegal, the procedure should be cancelled. So that's the rule of law. So I would not join in saying this is a witch hunt. I don't have basis for saying so.
In less than 10 seconds, do you think that the press conference was necessary?
No, I didn't hear that.
I said in about just 10 seconds to respond to this. Do you think the press conference was necessary? The press conference that was done by
I already said the press conference has breached the law, though it is serving certain useful purposes. That is to say, it will help in future law enforcement. Law reform. Future law reform, it will help because of the things he's complaining about. But it has also breached the law on contempt, that we shouldn't do that when a person is before the committee. So that's what it is.
So thank you so much for your time. I'll give you a call and we'll speak later on. Thank you so much. So that is Council Martin Pebu, my brother and my own good friend. We have on the line again Honorable Inusa Fuseni, my very, very good friend and brother, elder brother. Honorable, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Welcome to Politics and Beyond. It's been ages.
Thank you. Thank you. And I like your introduction. You did very, very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So Honorable, this is where we are and this is what has happened. What is your view? I want your initial take on this.
Well, you see, I'm calling to comment on the press conference of the Ghana Bar Association.
Honorable, can you hear me?
Sir, it was of the Ghana Bar Association.
Yes, please go ahead.
First of all, you must understand that when the drafters of the Constitution included the Article 146 in the Constitution, they didn't intend that it be window dressing. They intended that if a citizen of Ghana had reasons to believe that a justice of the Superior Court of Judicature or a regional tribunal had violated the provisions of Article 1461, that is a threshold upon which you can hold judicial officers accountable, such a person was subjected to removal. So it was not intended for window dressing. It was intended to be effected and have effect in cases where it can be demonstrated justices of the Superior Court of Judicature or regional tribunal have brought themselves within the contemplation and provision of Article 146.
Right. So, yes, please go ahead.
Two.
Yeah.
You must understand that under Article 146, even though it is not specifically stated that the president cannot bring a petition, the president's power to act under Article 146 is by a petition. And the Article 146 lays out the procedure which the president must act. And in Article 146, from the beginning, 146.1 to 146.11, we will see procedural, substantive, and institutional limitations on the exercise of power of the president, all designed to protect justices of the Superior Court of Judicature. So I thought that the Bar Association would have done itself a lot of good if they had looked at the provision carefully to see which part of the law has been breached,
right,
which can give a perception that the president or this government is engaged in witch hunting. And it is instructive to note that this design in the Constitution came in because of what happened in the First Republic.
Very well.
The removal of the CG at Oposa. It is, and you can see the ramifications of that in the 1969 Constitution, when the constitutional experts provided that there must be a judicial committee set up to investigate a removal process of the Chief Justice.
Right.
So I fail to see why they think that the removal of the Chief Justice of Ghana will set a bad precedent. Because it has happened before in this country.
Exactly.
And because it happened before, the doctors of the 1969 Constitution tied the hands of the president. And that has stayed with us in 1969, 1979, and 1992. Let me just hasten to add. The removal process of the Chief Justice in Camera is akin to the removal process of the president, which is supposed to be in Camera.
Okay.
And IJ2 clearly provides
Honorable, can you hear me? Honorable, can you hear me? Oh, you were making some brilliant submissions. I wish you could conclude on it. Honorable, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can
hear
you.
Very well. Please go ahead. Yes. I can
so
hear
I'm saying
you
that the removal process of the Chief Justice is akin to the removal process of the president.
Very well. Yeah.
Which is supposed to be held in camera.
Right.
Now, the justification for the referral of the petition for a removal of the Chief Justice to a Council of State was provided by the constitutional experts in the 1969 Constitution. And I will entreat lawyers to go back and read the justification for the referral. And for those who cannot get the Constitution or the 1969 Constitution and the Committee of Experts report, it was to insulate the removal process from partisan political considerations.
agree.
Yes, Martin is right when he says that in the American jurisdiction, the removal is done in Congress.
Yeah.
Similarly, in the UK system, the removal is done in the House of Commons. But these are political arenas. So you will understand that the drafters of the 1969 Constitution, which provided a rationale for referring petitions for the removal of justices of the Superior Court of Judicature and regional tribunals to the Council of State, was to provide for the consultative process that was not political. That was not political. Otherwise, they would have said, well, let's refer it to Parliament to determine whether there's a prima facie case and go ahead with the removal process.
Right.
Or they would have said, oh, because it's a prima facie case, let's refer it to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
After the suspension of the Chief Justice to know whether the petition raises prima facie.
Right.
But they didn't do that. They said Council of State, a body that will put the interests of the state paramount in considerations of matters of this nature.
That's great. Council, thank you so much for calling in to share these great views. Anytime I listen to you, I'm always inspired and I learn a lot. But before I let you go, I know you called in, but let me ask you this question, just as a very quick one. Do you think that the Chief Justice's press conference or the suspended Chief Justice's press conference will help her case?
No, it doesn't help her one bit. It exposes her as being desperate. And because, one, she was relying too much on emotionalism.
That's true.
And trying to seek public or court public sympathy for her case.
That's right.
Now, but she is the one who is sounding the death knell in her coffin. Because even though I agree that the finding of prima facie in the petitions against her is already an indictment for her.
Yeah.
Because in this Fourth Republic, very few Chief Justices have not faced the specter of removal by a petition. But
that's true.
We have not had this public discourse as witness under this Chief Justice.
Right.
So probably.
Oh, I've lost him. Honorable, so sorry about that. I think the network took us off, but I'm sure there's a conversation we'll have again. There's one thing that I will end with. You see, just like Honorable Inusa said, we have two types of courts, as we will informally agree to. We have what we call the Court of Competent Jurisdiction. That's actually the official one, so that is formal. And then informally, we have the Court of Public Opinion. If you are dealing with matters of legality, you don't rely on the Court of Public Opinion because you will not get any results. You see, Court of Public Opinion is often used largely by politicians and individuals who only rely on or feels that they have succeeded or they are succeeding on the emotions of people. And so you see a lot of politicians will come out and say things and you put them to street proof, and most of them are not able to, because when it comes to the crunch, they don't have evidence to back it up. But because their trade, their profession, relies heavily on emotions and sentiment, they will always run to the Court of Public Opinion. And that is one reason why, personally, I have never so much admired the processes that the special prosecutor uses. Because instead of him going to the court, he will always come and rely on the Court of Public Opinion. And that is exactly what the suspended Chief Justice's press conference sought to do. To rely on public opinion, the Court of Public Opinion, emotions, sentiments. But at the end of the day, it is not expected that she will go that tangent. Unless she's telling me, or she wants to tell us that she has now moved from being a Chief Justice or being someone who would describe herself as the law is in her bosom to becoming a politician. If politicians do this, if you see the NDC or the MPP or any political office holder having press conferences and talking and trying to cut the emotions of the public, I mean, you want to pardon the person. But you don't expect that this will come from a whole Chief Justice, someone who believes in the law, someone who has supervised and held the law over this past year, someone who has even interpreted the contents of the law over this past period. That is quite an unfortunate thing. And so I think clearly that is not the way to go. And I share absolutely with Honorable Inusa Fuseni and that of Council Martin Pebu, that the press conference is not helping her case in any way. And whoever advised her to do that, that is, if she didn't decide on her own, whoever advised her to do that, that person has done her an absolute disservice. Well, all too soon, this is where time will allow us. There has been some hitches with our network. There are a number of messages that are still coming through. Some I haven't, a lot I haven't read. I want to say sorry to all those that I haven't been able to read your messages. I want to thank all those who sent in their messages, all those who called into the show to make it a success for us to share ideas and to discuss this very, very important area. I also want to thank Council Martin Pebu for, indeed, he was supposed to be in the studio, but there was some last minute issues, so he couldn't, but fortunately he joined us via phone. I also want to appreciate my own senior brother, Honorable Inusa Fuseni, for calling in and contributing. We really appreciate your knowledge. All too soon, as I said earlier, this is where time will allow us. Next week, we'll have another interesting episode. Same time, 8 p.m. Monday, we'll have another interesting episode where we'll look again at what is happening in this country, what needs to be done, how best we think we have to protect the interests of this country, even if not for our sake, for the sake of our next generation. So we meet again next week. I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson Jr., and all I can say for now is good night.